In this video, we're going to pattern test and ballistics gel test 3 heavy-duty TSS turkey loads to see which comes out on top. George here with the New Hunter's Guide, and if you haven't subscribed to that podcast yet, now is the time. I have 3 different turkey hunting TSS loads that we are going to put to the test. Up first, we've got the Boss Tom TSS, new and improved for this year. Then we have the Apex Turkey TSS. Then we have the brand new Winchester Long Beard TSS. Now, I bought each of these with my own money, though each of these companies have given me ammo to test in the past. Let's go ahead and look at the specs on this ammunition. Up first, we have the Boss Tom TSS coming in at 1,050 feet per second with a recoil at 65.8 foot-pounds and a payload of 2.5 ounces. One of the heaviest loaded turkey shells in the 3-inch category that I have ever seen. However, it's not a 3-inch shell. It's actually a 2 3/4-inch shell. New for this year, Boss kept the payload but shrunk the size of the shell. How do they do that? I have no idea. But it's got 905 pellets. The Apex comes in going a little bit faster with a little bit more recoil, a little less payload, and 814 pellets. Then the new Winchester Long Beard TSS, 1,100 feet per second, 65.4 in recoil, and 2 3/8 ounce payload, which is 859 pellets. Now guys, keep in mind, the recoil on all of these is really high. But we're testing some of the heaviest TSS turkey loads on the market, so we know the recoil is going to be high. That just comes with the territory. There really are no surprises here. Now to test these, we're going to do this at 50 yards. Why 50? That is my standard benchmark for TSS ammo. If you're going to shoot at close range, you don't need to spend the money for TSS. We're going to run these through my Beretta A400, and we're going to use this choke tube right here. This is your Indian Creek Black Diamond Strike with a constriction of 0.670. Why this choke and this constriction? Well, you guys ask for this choke all the time, and this was the only constriction that I could find for this particular shotgun, maybe the only constriction they make for it, so that's the one I bought. Now guys, maybe more important than any of this is the TSS shells that you pick really only matter if you can find some turkeys to hunt. And that's where Trophy Tracks comes in, the sponsor of this video. Trophy Tracks is a hunting journal app with predictive modeling capabilities. While it has a map, it's not trying to compete with your other maps. Instead, it can become the central location where you store all of your hunting data. So every time you see a turkey, hear a gobble, harvest a bird, find some sign, or get a trail camera photo, you can enter that in the Trophy Tracks and it'll pull in other data pieces. Things like wind speed, temperature, cloud cover, and other items in order to develop predictive models for when you're most likely to see turkeys in the areas that you actually hunt. And the more you use the app, the more seasons you use the app, the more accurate that modeling becomes. And of course, Trophy Tracks works great for hunting deer, elk, waterfowl, and lots of other game. And maybe more exciting than that, you can use Trophy Tracks for free. It's available for Apple and Android. Just go wherever you get your apps, search for Trophy Tracks, download it for free, and start using it. Thank you, Trophy Tracks. Now let's head down to the range and get this test started. I am down at the range. I've got the Indian Creek choke tube loaded up here. We're going to start off first with the Boss 2.5 ounce TSS. Why this one first, you ask? Because it's the only one I have more than 2 of. So in case I miss or mess up somehow, I've got a couple extra shells. Okay, up next we've got the Apex TSS. All right, we'll go swap paper and hit it with the last one. And now we have the Winchester Long Beard TSS. So you might wonder, which one of those shells kicks the hardest? Well, they all kick the hardest. Wow! I will say, I feel like the Apex might have kicked just a little bit harder. It felt like it had maybe a little bit more of a crack to it. That might be due to that little bit of extra velocity. I don't know. It really doesn't matter. They all kick sufficiently hard. But let's go take a look at these targets. So you remember all that talk about me shooting first with the Boss in case I missed or messed up? Well, turns out that is exactly what I did. Both of the first 2 shots were very low, and I didn't realize it until the 3rd shot. I don't have enough ammo to reshoot both of them. I could reshoot the boss, but I don't have another Apex shell. However, the good news is I think we still captured the densest part of the core pattern at the bottom of the paper. So our data should still be good, even if our paper doesn't look all that good. Speaking of the paper, let's go ahead and take a look. First, we have the boss. And you can see here, there's our pattern. So a lot of pellets, very nice pattern. Next we have the Apex. And here is our pattern. Again, a lot of pellets, really nice pattern. Then we've got our Winchester. We did a lot better on this one, and our core pattern is right there. So guys, overall, outstanding patterns on all of these. You could not go wrong with any one of these shells. They all shoot exceptionally well. Which one's better? Which one's ahead? I have no idea just eyeballing these. No clue at all. They all look really good. Just to note, that last one, the Winchester, it was not better positioned on the paper because of the shell. It was better positioned because I learned how to aim by the time I got to the 3rd shot. So they're all hitting in the same spot. So I'm going to count up all these pellets in these circles, get you guys the data, but first let's get on to that ballistics gel test. The ballistics gel is set up at 50 yards. We've got our Boss Tom right here. We'll put that in. We'll also go ahead and throw the Apex in right behind it. Since one's copper plated and the other isn't, that'll make it easy to see. All right. All right, we'll go flip the block of gel around and we'll take our last shot. Well, it looks like those 2 shots were potent enough to straight up knock over the block of ballistics gel, and everything sticks to that thing. I got it cleaned up enough, set back up, and we've got our Winchester TSS for the last shot. Okay, let's go take a look. Ironically, this was a brand new crystal clear block of ballistics gel before it fell over and got so dirty. However, inside the gel, it's still pretty clear, but there are so many pellets crisscrossing in this gel, it is really hard to eyeball it, but let's go ahead and take a look. From left side, we've got the Boss and the Apex. The Apex is 4-ish, the Boss maybe 3.5, and from the right side, the Winchester, maybe 4. It's really hard to tell though just by eyeballing it and measuring it, just a couple of them. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure a good sample of these pellets, get that data for you guys in the chart along with the pattern data momentarily. I have the data tabulated, but there's a couple of things you need to keep in mind. These are not controlled laboratory experiments. I am a guy in the field with a tape measure. I use a paper plate to draw my 10-inch circles, and for this video, they came out to be about 10.25 inches, and they were slightly irregular and slightly different in size. We only fired one of each of these shells into the paper and the ballistics gel. We only used one choke tube, so this is hardly conclusive scientific evidence about which one of these shells is the best, and you should remember that with every one of these test videos that I do. I'm just out here trying to get a sense for how do these things perform under field conditions. All right, let's take a look at the data. You can see up first, the Boss Tom, 361 pellets in the circle, massive. Then the Apex TSS, 330 pellets in the circle, also massive. Then the Long Beard TSS, 293 pellets in the circle, again, still massive. Now, looking at the pattern efficiency here, you can see that the Boss Tom and the Apex have almost the same pattern efficiency. The Long Beard TSS was slightly lower. However, guys, how many pellets do you really need in a 10-inch circle or 10.25-inch circle to kill a turkey? Well, the average rule of thumb that I go by is 100. Every one of these is well above the minimum pellet count that you need, and this was 50 yards, guys, not 40. So outstanding performance here in the circles. Now, if you like videos like this and want to see more of them, hit that like button or subscribe if you haven't already. Let's look at the ballistics gel data. We see the Boss Tom at 3.53 inches of penetration, the Apex 3.81 inches of penetration, and the Long Beard 3.53 inches. Now, the Boss and the Long Beard were not exactly the same, but they both rounded to 3.53 inches, almost identical despite that little bit of difference in velocity. Possibly because the Boss is copper plated, possibly because of all the different variables that come along with just shooting one shell. So the Apex comes out 8% ahead in penetration over the other two. Now, how much penetration do you need or want? Many people go by the rule of thumb of 1 to 1.25 inches of penetration for head or neck shots on a turkey. So every one of these is well above that. And again, guys, 50 yards. So the question is then, which one of these shells is the best? Well, guys, they are all the best. They are all outstanding. I don't think you could see any performance difference in the field. Even if on paper there's a little bit of performance difference, the number of pellets that you're putting in the circle with these ammos, at least through this choke tube and this gun, absolutely outstanding. I am blown away how close each one of them are in terms of performance. Now, if you want to see what happens with TSS ammo at extended range, you should check out this video right here. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you, and go get 'em in the woods.